right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more to some more Faceit League action. We're here for a pretty good time today. We have NTMR Academy taking on YFP and Dex. This is a pretty important game for both of these squads here. Both have honestly really good records overall in the situation, 6-3 and 7-2 respectively. And this is one of those big games that I think are those marquee wins that you kind of need as teams like this going into the playoffs, because at this point, I think these are both playoff teams. What's really going to be mattering for them here is staying consistent and trying to get as high a seeding as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with both these teams being their last game before they get into those final third games or final 5 games, becomes very, very important. Especially like what you talked about there with the records, 1-7-2, the other 6-3. Well, that's where really a lot of the teams right now in this North American Masters here are kind of sitting around. Yeah, you have Dreamland and Nightmare Pro being undefeated at the moment, but there's no one-loss teams. There's a couple 2-loss teams, a decent amount of 3-loss teams, and a couple 4-loss teams as well. So, I mean, you're looking at the standings right now where one loss could put you, let's say Nightmare Academy's position right here, where they're 5th right now. A loss could put them back down in that 10th range here. So it's very, very important to get these wins here tonight, especially in, like you said, a little bit of a marquee matchup for these two teams right now before they enter their final third of the season.
Yep, 100%. And obviously nothing is entirely set in stone quite yet. Crazy things have happened in the past. Crazy things could happen now. But we expect this to be a back and forth affair. And I know that in a way that is cursing, but on paper, the way these two squads are, that's the way things should go. I think they have been very consistent, and they already have very big marquee wins of their own throughout the season as well. But we'll have to see how it goes down. We can see right now we are headed to Ilios for our first map, and the Diva has been banned out by Nightmare Academy. So before we get in, we're just waiting on YFP to set their first ban.
Yeah, I think it's a very smart move to ban out the Diva here. You see it really banned out a lot on Ilios. YFP has a couple good options as well. They go after that DPS line and they go after that support line. I feel like we've been seeing a lot more teams ban out DPS heroes here and kind of leave the support line alone for the most part. I wouldn't be surprised if something like a Tracer, maybe a Venture gets banned out here. Those are, I think, really strong picks right now. But outside of that, we talk about a map like Ilios. You have to kind of talk about someone on Nightmare Academy like Dirt. Yeah. Again, I don't think we've seen Dirt a lot this season at all, but we do know he is really prolific on the Hog, and this is one of the maps where you could definitely see a Roadhog. However, me and you both expect to see Lucano throughout the majority of this series here tonight for them. But I mean, Hunter, you look at these names on these two teams here. I mean, these are some of probably the best players just individually that we have seen across Faceit. The couple seasons me and you have been really covering it here. The fact that they're now kind of on these two teams as groups makes them really, really good. That's why we're looking at this as one of the marquee matchups here of the season.
Yeah, we got to see both of these teams playing earlier throughout the season, and they have been extremely impressive. Those records are not just them fighting against the weakest teams. This has been really big. I mean, you have YFP, where you have them taking down teams like Kintsugi, like Shikigami, who in their own right's doing a lot. The only losses they have taken are from Nightmare and Amplify, which Nightmare you could classify as a top 2 team right now, and Amplify is, I think, very much in that top 5 conversation the way things have gone so far. But it has been nothing but dubs so far for YFP. They have won 6 consecutive games. They're on an absolute roll thus far, and I'm hoping that they can kind of keep some momentum going, because Nightmare Academy, while you look at their situation, they're in the opposite. They've lost the last 3. Now, note, it's 2 really tough opponents, but still, that is right now a downward trend.
Yeah, especially when you look at it coming back from that long break they had here. You really want to try to get back on the right track, and this is a matchup where you're going up against another good team. You really want to be able to have that kind of good win, especially after the struggle they have been having here as of late. We do know what the second ban is. I was right on the money with it. Gonna be Tracer being banned out here. Like I said, though, that still leaves a lot of good DPS options. Venture is still there. We have seen Vendetta. Me and you have been seeing a little bit more Bastion as well. I don't necessarily expect to see it here on Ilios, but that is still an option there for both these teams.
Yeah, it's still a very prolific option. We have seen it becoming out quite a bit so far, ever since the introduction on that last week before we went over to break. And I think it's become a little bit more prominent. But again, it's not become a must pick at the stage, which honestly, that's what I was afraid of when Vendetta came out, is that we would see Vendetta in 90% of these games. Thankfully, that hasn't been the case, but it's still a very powerful character that is getting combined with things like the Zarya, who is also in a really incredible playstyle. We've seen that before when Reaper came back because of the Zarya. Venture became even stronger because of Zarya, and the Vendetta kind of falls into that period here as well. But we'll see what the situation is here. That could be something we see out the gate, but at least for now, we're ready to head into Ilios.
I wouldn't expect to see Zarya, though, on this map. Yeah, Zarya's still in a little bit of a good spot, but you get rid of the Diva. Normally, when you see that happen, you see a lot of teams kind of gravitate over towards Winston, gravitate over towards maybe a Doomfist as well. Looks like we are right on the mark here that we will not be seeing Dirt, even though they are listed as a starting tank. It will be Lucana coming in here for Nightmare Academy. And like I said, that's what we've been seeing throughout the entire season for Nightmare Academy. So it's not that big of a surprise here, but this is always one of those maps where Roadhog does make a little bit of sense here and there. But look, like I said, Diva banned out. Normally see Winston. That's where you're seeing both teams kind of play there. Snow and Micah, the hit scans kind of doing a little bit different here. You have the Cassidy for Nightmare, while on the other side for YFP, Micah on the Freya. Me and you have, it's been a little bit of back and forth with Freya. While we see teams really gravitate towards her, other teams we've seen kind of just avoid her at all costs. I think that's a really good spot here, though, for Freya, especially on this map. A lot of good opportunities on high ground, and being able to get in the sky really does come into play here. But outside of that, looks like it's going to be Sim just to TP both teams out of the point. And then it's going to be Echo for YFP, and Putter going to be showing us the Vendetta here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to come into form. Last time we saw some of these players up here, especially Noctis and Micah, I mean, they had a lot to prove, and proving a lot they 100% did. But we'll see as Lucana being over on that Winston, you're going to want to be very aggressive in these situations. You see right now, Noctis getting forced to the outside point. For the time being taken over as Lucana is trying to go for the dive, trying to force people out of position, and as good as Lucana is forcing these dives, it's going to be really hard to finish anybody off, as eventually you just have to pull back momentarily.
Putter actually being a little bit of a distraction in that backline, essentially, as you see the entirety of the Nightmare Academy rotate around. It actually going to be unrefunding Mari first.
Yeah, rough situation right there. Nightmare Academy hoping to close this one out. Point going to come through, and that will be theirs to claim. Salmon just got to take the death there, and the reset will come through. So at the end of the day, long fight, but it works out beautifully for Nightmare Academy.
Works out beautifully. Yeah, absolutely. It really does. Now Nightmare Academy can get set up here a little bit. You still see Lucana trying to take some space here. Snow getting pretty low early on. You get healed up, but I like the space that you're seeing the Academy squad take here. They're trying to force YFP into a spot where they feel more comfortable with the fight, especially with Snow on that Cassidy. You want them to be in a kind of a little bit more close quarters fight where that fan the hammer, especially this early on, finds a lot of value.
Yeah, absolute ton. And Nox just has to be careful because of Snow simply existing, honestly. That is enough of a deterrent as it is, as Mari eventually going to cause some pressure over onto the point. They want to find some kind of collapse, but it's going to be difficult to find that without being heavily punished, as they have been since the moment they come to the point. Hey, Kune Rush.
Kune Rush already out here early on from Nightmare Academy, and look what that does to YFP. They're just going to back up. Let this thing kind of fade away here. I like this play from YFP. They want to get rid of one strong ultimate. They have now their own Kitsune Rush to go at here. I would not be surprised if they hold on or let it go here pretty soon.
Yeah, so Lucana's going to have to let that one rip right now. Bullies Micah into the corner. Bubble shot expended, but no. Such relief is given, and Mari's going to try to get out of there alive. Doesn't be able to do so, and now big finish coming through in 75% and counting. This is Academy putting on a slaughterhouse right now, but still quite a few available here for YFP.
Yeah, like we talked about, Nightmare Academy trying to kind of bounce back after a little bit of a sluggish performance in their last couple matches. A good start here, but this is a point that I feel like has kind of always gone their way here, at least with their composition. And now YFP, you have two ultimates at your disposal. Regime's gonna have to invest that beat here pretty early, just probably engage onto the point. Putter, though, using that duplicate right now.
Yeah, you see that answer right there. Lucana's not going to have that primal rage like they had earlier. Being getting thrown back the other side. Mari going to be able to barely get their own primal rage in time. Is going to try to go for the all-out aggression. Eventually, it's going to be forced out. They need to find somebody to get some kind of finish right here. Lucana incredibly low in the back line. Hoping to find some kind of flip. Will get the flip. With Salmon down, their days could be numbered. Lau, Snow, both around the corner from their own ultimate. Separation comes through. Snow might be down, but it looks like it's going to be curtained as Mari going to be able to get out. Mega Health Pack is going to be there, so we get one more touch. But Dex, I think that's going to be the extent of that one right there. Finished off. No more touches, so first point handily going over to Nightmare Academy.
Yeah, handily is the easiest way to put it right there. When you look at the stats, Snow was the only member of Nightmare Academy to die that entire first sub map. I mean, they played it almost perfectly. They took space, they gave space, and I think this all kind of started at the start of that fight. Putter, or start of that round, Putter last one to come out spawn because they made that late swap over to Echo, and Nightmare Academy had already kind of rotated the map around, basically flipping the sides, and that forced YFP into a really weird situation where they're trying to decide, do they go after Putter or do they go after the point? Well, it seemed like there was a little bit of a split decision, and it ended up hurting YFP in the end there because they tried going after Putter, but Putter was able to keep themselves alive there. Now, as we head over to Ruins, a little bit more of a brawly poke map, and you see YFP immediately rotate or change their composition as we get a pause. Lucana is lagging, so that's why we have the pause right there. But you see already a little bit of change here coming out from YFP. They're going over to this poke composition. Micah on the Ash. I think that's going to work out a little bit better for them here on this point. Longer sight lines. Snoll doing the same thing, going over to that same Ash. So the hit scans here, already making those swaps. Noxious and Putter, what are they going to do? Are they going to stick with the Echoes here, knowing that there's probably a really good hit scan on the other side? Or is this the map where you see something like that Vendetta, something like a Venture potentially come out here after they swap off of the Symmetrus? No, it's going to be back over to the Echo. Both these Echoes now going to have to be very, very careful while flying around.
Yeah, it's a mirror outside of the situation right before. So Mari is going to try to play a little bit slower, and I think this is going to aid YFP in what they're attempting to do here. Let Micah Notches have a little bit more area to work with in a scenario like this. Sigma can move up, and it's going to be really hard to burn Mari down in this scenario. But Lucana is going to give it the old college try, trying to move in. Big burn, but Cleanse can stop all of that from going down. But for the time being, Lucana still hanging around the point, trying to get first cap. Eventually going to be forced out as nobody wants to go in and pull the trigger. Next, you pull the trigger here, and you can be messed up very quickly, very easily. And with that separation onto Mari, Cleanse comes through, but it's not going to be enough. Separation is taken, and with Mari down, I mean, this point should be as good as captured.
No, it's going to be easily capped here now for Nightmare Academy, and off to another great start. And here's the one problem I have with YFP's composition. They have a tank that has some sustainability on that Sigma, but you need one of your DPS to kind of be right next to them, especially in the composition that Nightmare Academy is playing, who can dive on you. You saw Putter really working well there with Lucana, with those focusing beams and the sticky grenades, being able to really help take care of Mari there. You don't have that same thing for Mari on your side. You need someone that can be next to them, someone a little bit more stout. Yeah, a Tracer would have been great here, but that's banned out. The Vendetta, the Venture, hell, even a Reaper, I think, would work a little bit better. Or hell, you just get rid of Micah on that Ash, go over to Cassidy instead. But right now, I mean, you're really looking for Mari to land a big accretion here onto someone, especially like Lucana, and take them out of here early.
Yeah, take the center rush. Regime is down first, though. And Mari going down this fight is good as done. You might lose unraid in the process. And actually, Lau goes down, too, so if you get Mari back really quickly here as Regime is coming back, you could just rush this and try to take it.
Yeah, the problem is, though, Unraid and Lau are going to be at that same spawn wave here, so they'll get out here pretty quickly. So you're going to have to go fast if you're YFP, but you have to understand Nightmare Academy is going to have their entire squad back. And Hunter, you're looking at a lot of ultimates coming up here. Consider Rush is not going to be there for Nightmare Academy, but you do have to beat Bob, though, coming out to just buy some sustain.
Yeah, see both Bobs out there right now, and it looks like Micah's Bob is going to, for the time being, win, but point he'll flip over at 68% as this fight not over quite yet. There's still the beat ready, and hey, going out aggressive with it, but Putter does not get hit with it, so instead is going to have to go with that copy right there. Regime goes down just before that beat is available, and now Notch is going to try to go in, try to get something here with the copy on the Winston. Unfortunately, no cigar to be found, and slowly but surely, Nightmare Academy will take back this point.
Mari whipping on the flux right there does come back to haunt them a little bit, but Nightmare Academy, they looked like they understood what they needed to do in that fight. Again, we saw it on the first point from YFP, letting the Kitsune Rush kind of go away from Nightmare, but now that last fight, Nightmare Academy let the Kitsune Rush go away from YFP and came right back in with ults of their own. Once that Kitsune Rush went away, you saw the beat immediately come out, and that was the go button for them. Regime has that beat ready to go now. It's going to have to be a big difference maker here for them, especially as there's no other ultimates ready for either side. That beat going to have to really sustain YFP here early on, and at least enough to win them this fight.
Yeah, 100%. And now 95% on the board. Regime has to be very careful with this beat, having for that right opportunity. Play very carefully because Nola's gonna try to do something, but it's Lau instead in the back line. Takes care of business and is still going wild. Eventually gonna be able to TP out with that beat out of play. You have to commit touches over and over and over again, and this is going to be so difficult to pull back. Regime is nowhere close to making it back yet, and this should be a massive cleanup. It is a dominant start here for Nightmare Academy as YFP got close on so many of these fights. The stats, damage-wise, it swings back and forth, but I mean, the way that Academy moves with each other in these situations, it's so difficult to deal with.
Absolutely, and especially when you look at it like this, Putter played this Echo this entire map, essentially, and you had YFP towards the end of Ruins go to a double hit scan. Putter never died that entire map. They were playing that Echo excellently, and a lot of it comes down to how Lucano was playing as well. We talked about there. The dives were very much coordinated from them. They were able to really play around each other very, very well. Same thing with Snoll. Snoll seemed to be a big problem as well. Everyone's for Nightmare Academy really gave YFP a lot of problems. YFP, though, it's not like they were necessarily shut out, but when we look at the stats of this map, Hunter, Mari was the only one that had above 3 elims, so it looked like a very, very dominant showing here for Nightmare Academy, but there was that back and forth that we saw there from YFP, but Nightmare Academy, they showed us a lot of their good, smart plays coming out from, again, letting some ultimates go away from YFP when they use them, waiting for them to dissipate, and then using their own ultimates right back, won them a couple key fights, and Nightmare Academy, again, we talked about a little bit at the start, looking for a good bounce back win right now, off to a really great start.
No, off to a phenomenal start. I like the way things are turning for them right here, but I think the real big story of this is YFP having to try to figure this scenario out, because a lot of these fast-paced compositions just aren't working for them in this situation, and that comes off the back people like Putter, like Snoll, who are just getting the job done with relative ease, it feels like. But you also have Lucana, who is consistently taking space away, making the job as difficult as humanly possible. And now the question is, how do we react? And in the situation that we are in front of us, we still have Mari over on tank right now. In fact, no swabs as of this moment for YFP, and for that matter, neither side swapping out.
I'm seeing a little bit something different on my screen.
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not.
On my.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, you're totally
on
right.
my screen. My screen is saying Dirt and Phone are coming in here for Nightmare Academy. I was looking at stats, so I did not know what map we're going to or what the first ban was. But it's gonna be very interesting to see if this is the thing that sticks for Nightmare Academy, especially after how well I thought Lucana really played map number 1 to bring Dirt in. It would be really interesting. Do they play the Hog? We do know that they do have more in their bag, but Hog is what they're known for the most. Phone as well coming in should be really, really fun, but they're coming in for Putter, who, remember, last map didn't die, and I thought was maybe the standout player there for Nightmare Academy. So some swaps coming in here. We'll see if they actually stick here, because lineups could always change. But I mean, this could be a really make or break moment for Nightmare Academy in the series to bring in 2 people off the bench, especially going up against no subs on the other side here for YFP.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting in a scenario like this. And as we see the ban come through, the Zarya is your second ban, and I kind of like that. Especially if we go over to King's Row, Zarya can be extremely effective. Again, it can be paired up with so many different DPS to really aid them, make them a lot stronger. So this is going to kind of take away a potential tool, but at the end of the day, this is also taking away a potential option if you decide, hey, we are going to run the Hog in this scenario, because Zarya is not bad for it, but to be fair, there are still things like the Sigma, like the Orisa, even the Diva, that can still shut down the Hog with these. So, I mean, we'll see what Dirt wants to do in this scenario. They are going to stick with that. We'll find out momentarily what the case is going to be.
Yeah, we're waiting for a couple people to get still in the lobby. Phone, again, coming in here as well. Phone, I mean, I think me and you have kind of been waiting for Phone to really get back into a spot where they're on a good team right now and be able to compete, because they are, I think, a really good player. So now that they're on this Nightmare Academy team, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do coming into this one here, especially since we saw it was for the most part Snoll who was playing those hit scans last map. Phone coming in, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they play here on King's Row. But like you said, Zarya being banned out, this map in the past known for Brawl, you could still play a lot of other different tanks. Hog is still there, but like I said, Dirt, yeah, while they're known as the Hog player, does have a bag of tricks that they can pull out here. But it's gonna be really interesting to see here, especially with YFP gonna be attacking here first. It's gonna be interesting to see what Nightmare Academy shows on the defensive side, because a lot of times you see that translate over to the offensive side as well.
Yeah, you 100% do. We'll see. But Dirt, for the moment, is on that Sigma, and with them being on the defensive side, it's looking like it's something they're gonna stick with right here. But Obviously, something that's not as locked in is currently Mari over on the Diva, and Jeremy on the Vendetta. We did see Jeremy on the Vendetta a little bit before we went over into break, and honestly, I think they popped off on it beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really fun to see. I think Jeremy was one of the first players we actually saw really lean in to the Vendetta, and it was a time where a lot of teams were trying to figure out whether or not Vendetta was viable, and Jeremy definitely showed that it was definitely viable at the time here. But coming out of the gate, I mean, Snow on that Soj, I like the pick here for Nightmare Academy, but on the other side, looks like we're going to have the Sigma duel here. Noxious going to probably fire a Sonar Arrow, looking for one head. Actually, no, they're going to be sticking on the Hanzo here. A very interesting pick, especially if we find some value, but oh no, Phone.
I'm lucky to be alive, genuinely. Does manage to get out alive, though, so element of surprise does not work out for either side, honestly. As we're getting back into this one, Phone is going to have some kind of falls available. Salmon's going to have to be able to TP out of there. Big aggression from Phone, but it's just getting pressured out so heavily, it's hard to follow up, and again, forced out, taken care of, but Jeremy drops as well. You trade out the DPS, and to be fair, this is ultimately going to aid you in a scenario where, hey, as the attacker, your spawn is way closer.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of King's Row here, is that the attacker spawn on first point is a lot closer than defender spawn here. But I like this composition a little bit better here for YFP. Like I said, when they played the Sigma last map, they needed some hero like Vendetta to be up there with Mari to really help him out. And now they have that there. I think we're going to see a little bit of a different playstyle here from YFP.
Yeah, I think we are too. Dirt getting really low. Phone trying to turn things around a little bit, but I think eventually they are going to be able to fall over. First tick is going to come through, and I imagine the next two aren't going to be too far behind. The question is whether or not Unread and Dirt will get the good spawns. It's looking like they're going to.
Be able to get those good spawns right there, and they're not in a bad spot with ultimate economy here, so you could see Nightmare Academy really just try to force the issue here and try to play up as fast as they possibly can here. But you're also going to be running an ultimate on the other side. Noxious Dragon should be able to help him out a little bit early, but losing Regime as Phone finds them very late there is going to allow Nightmare Academy to come back in here very, very quickly and hold at Arches.
Yeah, and now you have Sydney Rush. You're going to have Flux along with the Dragon trying to get into this situation. And it's going to be a little bit difficult. Obviously, you have a Sydney Rush ready to be thrown back. Dirt stop momentum at any time with that Flux as well. So both sides have to be very careful how to engage. And I can see Salmon being very aggressive here after this Flux with a Sydney Rush.
Coming out there from not going to be able to find anyone as you lose Jeremy, and basically Phone going to be able to find Regime out as well. This is basically the fight already over here. Nightmare, though, playing smart. They're going to push up a little bit, try to find one more pick, because that's really all they need here to buy some more time, especially with 4 minutes on that time bank. You want to try to eat away as much time as you possibly can, and it's an incredibly difficult choke to get through. But right now, you look at the other side here, YFP, they have their Consumer, they have their Beat, they have their Flux, they're going to have their Southern Blade as well here. A couple good comboing tools, but without the Flux here for Nightmare, you could see a very, very quick fight here.
100% you could, but Jeremy is the first one to go down. Loud still going to have a Cinder Rush available. Without Jeremy, you can't push in here. It's really going to be a scenario where both teams are going to let go of both their support ultimates to really engage in the situation. At least I feel like that's what you have to do right now. If you're YFP, you have to be the first one to engage your ultimates, or you're not going to get anywhere in this situation. But see what the scenario is. Continue Rush activated. Beat's going to be available as well. Flux going to come online. Going to try to catch Solo onto one. Eventually, Beat expended from both sides. Unread does not catch onto Snow, though, as Noxious has already gotten rid of two, trying to get this one securely in their hands. And it looks like it's going to be the case. You still have Unread and Phone hanging around Snow. Worley wants to get back in there. Noxious taken out of position, but still, they are barely holding on.
Barely holding on right now. Phone somehow getting out by the skin of their teeth. Gonna have to deal with Jeremy here. They should be able to, but no, Salmon gonna be able to TP there to keep him alive. Phone now in a bad spot. Gonna be able to burrow themselves here, but somehow, some way, Hunter, Nightmare Academy is actually done a really good job of just slowing down this card and coming back into the fight and finishing it here. I mean, honestly, losing Dirt first in that fight I thought was almost a death sentence there for Nightmare Academy, but they played incredibly smart. The fact that Snow was able to live so long, same thing with Unread and Phone, they did such a good job in that fight, just withstanding a lot here. But you now look at YFP. They have both their ultimates ready to go, and you lose Phone early. Again, Phone was such an important part of the reason why Nightmare was able to stall that card for so long. Now that stall is gone. The Dragons can come out here from Noxious at any time, but it's actually going to be the Blade first. Never mind.
Yep, never mind. No blame for you. Dirt said, nah, I ain't killing this one, Chief. But Jeremy said, nah, it doesn't matter. And now it's Snow trying to bring this one back once again. Managed to get rid of Regime in that last fight. It managed to kind of create the staggering, but it's Noxious once again making it happen. Snow, last one remaining. This cap is going to inevitably come through a little bit more stalled, but it's not going to be enough for any kind of touch. So it's going to be about 3:15 on the clock here. Really a healthy amount of time to work with.
A really healthy amount of time, especially going to third point where you do run into pretty commonly just stalls and stops here, especially as the attacking team. The more time you have, the better it is. And yeah, that's a very obvious statement, but especially on this point, you could give up a minute here just to build up some ultimates right now, because you know Nightmare Academy is going to have to probably use some of their own here, but Jeremy going to be taken out here pretty early on. A nice combo there as Phone's going to be able to clean up and look at the space, and Nightmare Academy is going to be able to get just off that one pick.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Noxious is just too far separated. Nothing can be done to aid you in that situation. So with 2.5 minutes on the clock here, Dirt going to try to take eye position. Realized, hey, need a little bit of a booster. Love to see it. And now they're just going to mess around these high grounds and just keep them pincered.
Yeah, and again, we've seen it a lot from Nightmare Academy, especially on this map. They do like to play up a little bit, especially Phone, who's barely going to be able to get out right there. But look at the ultimates that Nightmare Academy has here. Flux and Tectonic Shocks. Those can buy you some time. Dragon's coming out, and there's the Flux from Dirt, but they're getting canceled out of it.
That's the second time we've had a cancel all like that. That accretion goes absolutely well from both sides. But still, Dirt getting people to know, and now it's another Flux coming through right here. Mari hoping to get somebody right here, but with Salmon down, Jeremy incredibly low. There is not really any kind of follow-up to be found right here. Not even the accretion hits. So again, Vina comes through. Dirt gets rid of two. Now Mari just has to try to run for the hills. And it's a situation where Academy is just, they are not budging at all.
No, not at all. And honestly, if you're Academy, you love how that fight went for you. You got two ultimates out from the other side, and really all you used was your own Flux. I mean, that was a moment right there where if you're YFP, you really need to be able to win that fight with those two ultimates. The fact you didn't now puts you a little bit behind the 8 ball here, especially with only 90 seconds left to go. You're now rotating into a spot where Nightmare Academy already has 4 ultimates on the line. Here comes the Tectonic Shocks as the Kitsune Rush up on the other side.
Yeah, Phone's got to try to get out of there alive. He's going to try to find some kind of disruption. He's going to get Mari pretty low, but Mari has learned how to fly, so no finish available there, but still, minute left on the clock. There's all out of aggression. It's working out beautifully, and it's becoming a situation where finishing the map with time is not a concern. Just getting to the end at all now is becoming questionable.
Dirt getting very low right there, but a 1-for-1 trade that last fight here ultimate-wise, and I imagine that's what Nightmare Academy is going to want to be doing here again, just trading ultimates one by one. Phone, that was a little bit scary for them to be in the sky that long, but they're able to get burrowed right now. 45 seconds left to go here.
Yep, it's going to rush activated. Beat, immediate response. You remember, Unread still has their beat ready to go. It's probably going to go aggressive momentarily, but lose out on Lao, and now Unread is potentially going to have to hold on to this and wait for another fight. Dirt's still alive, playing to work with. Beat is going to be expended. All out aggression, trying to find something, not just looking to blow that dragon. Dirt ends up being found in the process, and while they're trading back and forth, ultimately looking like this fight is going to go the way of YF2 with 15 seconds left. Overtime goes over momentarily, and it's a question of whether Mari or Dirt's going to get a better Flux.
Yeah, Flux are ready for both sides. Jeremy, though, their Sundering Blade, we haven't really seen a lot from it so far. This would be a moment for it to really get a couple kills. But Snow, we've seen them be kind of quiet throughout this round so far. Yeah, even though they do have 9 kills, this is a moment right here for them. But can we get a Sig 9?
Yeah, Regime does go down though, and now it's Snow who's just going to finish things off. You don't get anything if you're Mari. It looks like this is where the battle is going to end. Not just though, wants to keep them aside of it. Jeremy on top of that as well is the absolutely massive this one round. Remember, there's no supports available though. So while Jeremy is helping put in massive work right now, it has to be incredible. And right now, Jeremy's still hanging around, but no supports available. Cuts down with another slice. We talked about Jeremy earlier, and now they're gonna barely touch your Phone incredibly low, knocked out, in some way, somehow, they clutch up and finish King's Row.
You are worthless. Double.
I mean, just an excellent finish there for YFP. I mean, like you kind of said, it seemed like at a point in that fight, Nightmare Academy was really just starting to wind it down. But the one problem was Dirt was incredibly low throughout the entirety of that fight. And Mari on the other side was just able to stay alive, able to sustain a little bit better there. That was the biggest difference. And I mean, if you're Nightmare Academy, you're probably kicking yourself. I thought they had a really good second point hold. They got down to about a minute and a half. I thought they were going to be able to hold on third point as well, because YFP really did not get the cart going up until about 45 seconds left to go. And that's almost a little bit of a collapse there. Now, if you're YFP, you finally are able to get some confidence going. You're finally able to find some consistency for the first time this series in that last round there towards the end. Now you're going over to the defensive side. Let's see what we see from them. I'm not going to believe that pick, Dirt. I'm not going to believe it.
I believe it.
Totally
do.
But yeah, I mean, you easily could. But I mean, I think you started really seeing the pieces come together there for YFP at the end. Jeremy on the Vendetta really started coming to play. I think Nox just actually started picking up as well on the Hanzo, and just Mari again, very consistent on that tank. They've been a very consistent tank player as long as me and you have known them. Only died once. I think that's a big thing there for Mari that last round. Almost 12,000 damage as well with an 18,000 damage mitigation. I mean, Mari is playing an incredible map at the moment.
Yeah, and Dirt is coming out on the Hogs. Maybe just going for the one hook wonder. You never know, but I mean, to be fair, with nothing like an Ana present right now, nothing's going to heavily deter Dirt. Obviously, Mari's going to try to go directly in Dirt's face, but all Dirt has to do is find one hook, one opening, and this fight goes sideways. Dirt's going to go super aggro.
It has to be onto the...
By the way,
it has to be onto the right target, though. That's a problem.
Yeah, that is rough right there. Going down, but still, it's going their way. They're finishing everybody off. It's just Mari left, and now that first point is done as dusted. Dirt going to get back on the Doom to get there quickly, but it's going to be unnecessary.
I mean, you're going to see one last touch come out here. Dirt can actually kind of prevent a retouch here. Actually, no, there's going to be no touch. Dirt on that Roadhog, like I said, you want to find that one hook wonder kind of there, but you need to find onto the right person. Sadly, the only person on the side of YFP that you really could go after for that one hook would probably be Regime. Everyone else, I feel like, is a little bit more survivability and would be able to, but now Dirt off the Doom, back over to the Sigma here now. But if you're Nightmare Academy, I mean, it's been a really good start here for you.
It's been an incredible start. Now you have 5 on the clock. Getting through the archway, though, is going to be difficult. We saw it take a hot minute to get through if you are YFP, but it's about working up yourself and getting yourself in a really good position. With Salmon down, you don't need ultimates, and now you can move forward. Jeremy is going to go all in. He's going to get disrupted, and this card's going to move fast. And Nightmare Gaming, man, this is absolutely insane how fast they're moving so far.
I mean, hey, yeah, absolutely. Especially like what I said, with them maybe being a little bit, like maybe unorthodox how they finished that last round, where it really seemed like YP was able to get some consistency for the first time this series. That's all gone now. Whatever consistency that YFP got, it was a little bit of a flash in the pan here, especially as Nightmare Academy already rounding one of the final turns here on Street Phase with still over 4.5 minutes to go. But Hunter, this is that spot in the map where if you lose as the attacking team, you're kind of in no man's land.
Yeah, I think that no man's land. Jeremy is in the trenches back there. He's gonna have to eventually help get a touch. Nox is about to have a dragon around the corner. Whether or not it gets online, honestly, might be what decides this fight. Quite frankly, there's a lot coming online, but Jeremy ends up going down. Nox just needs to clutch up big time here, and unfortunately, they're gonna get bullied away from this point. Mari gonna let it loose and get taken out of it. No flux to be found here today, and now it's everybody getting ran over. Mari keeps falling over one at a time. And with 5:20 on the clock here, Nightmare Academy cannot be stopped.
Yeah, about 2 more minutes here for Nightmare Academy, and I mean, YFP, whatever they had going for them last round, they need to bring it back right now and lock in, or else they're going to be locked outside all night long here. But you look at what YFP has here. They have Beat, they have Dragon, they have Kitsune, they're going to have Sundering Blade. The only thing Nightmare Academy has is the Flux. So this should be a moment right here if you're YFP where you should be able to at least use your ultimate advantage here just to be able to win a fight and slow down the momentum here. And that's all you really need to be looking for here right now. Honestly, you need to be looking for a pick as the Kitsune Rush comes out.
Yeah, Flux immediately. Regime is going to have the beat. Let's go pretty early, but everyone's going to be able to survive as a result. Jeremy again with a big level aggression. Not going to find anything, but this needs to start somewhere, and that somewhere is right here. Being able to force Dirt out of the situation, even just kill them, would be incredible, but unfortunately, nothing's happening quite yet. Being expanded, all that aggression being thrown in. Dirt, though, is not getting any receipts for all of that aggression. In fact, nobody is going down at this point right now. It's Lau who's the lowest right now, but most notably, Dex, it is YFP having to back up more and more, especially as Unread wins the 1v1.
And Hunter, it comes down to what I just talked about. YFP had 4 ultimates going into this fight. They've used all 4. They haven't found a single pick. Instead, it's Nightmare Academy finding everything.
Yeah, this one is done, dusted. They're gonna cap this point with 3 minutes and 47 seconds on the clock. Essentially, they got their time bank back. And now all they have to do in those 4 minutes is win 1 fight.
And win 1 fight. I mean, like, remember how they won the first fight on this first point here. It was basically Dirt sacrificing themselves into the backline, drawing so much attention that allowed that DPS line to just basically come in and clean house. I mean, if you're YFP, like I said, you had a good end to your first round where you were able to complete the map. Everything that you had there completely went away, vanished before your eyes as you just got rolled. I mean, there wasn't even a fight where they looked like they were in it. Every fight, the 4 fights that we truly had in that round, YFP looked like a shell of themselves there a little bit. I mean, it was a little bit back and forth on the first map, even though the stats were kind of one-sided. That last round, though, was the most one-sided affair I think me and you have seen in a while, especially against 2 teams right now in this Masters tier who are sitting in the top 5.
Yeah, this is really rare to see in a situation like this. And obviously, we don't know what's going to happen from this map onward, but right now, Nightmare Academy looked really difficult to beat, and now they're going to come in here and just basically try to replicate what they did in that original first fight. They go in, they go all out, and while Dirt died, it caused everybody to be in such an awkward situation being on YFP that everyone just got caught out after the fact.
Yeah, and look, Dirt coming right back out on the Hog again, and again, it's Regime, Salmon, and probably Noxious. That's the order that you're looking at here. Look, the Hook order coming out, they're not going to be able to find one. That's actually a good start for YFP now, as they're going to be able to rotate around, but you have to remember that Hook is going to be back here momentarily, and Dirt, not one known to miss twice.
Yeah, we'll see how that ends up going down, and everyone's grouped up together, everyone's super low, and yes, does hit the second time, and with that second hit, the second map is likely not too far away. You have Mari still hanging around. Jeremy, though, being taken out. Regime trying to get back into the fight, but Ultimate's not even a question right now. As slowly but surely, the bleeding will come through. And this is going to be match point here for Nightmare Academy. Another dominant map, honestly. You may finish the map if you're YFP, but Academy just laughs in the face of adversity and just takes care of business.
Yeah, like I kind of said, YFP, it seemed like at the end of that round where they were able to complete the map, they finally started to find a little bit of consistency, something they really struggled to find on that first map. And I thought, okay, they're swapping over to the defensive side first point. A lot of the times there's a coin flip where the defensive team can be really dominant or the offensive team can be really dominant. I was hoping that YFP would keep that consistency up and kind of be dominant, but it's like Dirt on the Roadhog just pulled so much attention, like we both talked about. It pulled 4 people inside of the room behind the point, and they were Nightmare Academy just able to clean up right after that. That's something that should not happen at all. YFP, I think they made a mistake just kind of following Dirt in there. I understand why you did it, because they were chasing one of your supports, but you need to kind of say, like, okay, we can give up a support here if we can focus on the rest of Nightmare Academy. Because if you look at the stats here, it was just insane. I mean, hell, you had 2 people on YFP who had over 10 deaths. That's never necessarily a good sign here unless the other team has someone matching that. But Nightmare Academy, once they got on the attacking side there that second round, man, did they look like one of the best teams here.
I mean, they really did. There's a reason this team has only lost 3 games throughout the season so far. And while they are set up in a potential position to get their 7th win right here, and really, 8 or 9 wins is what you're going to need to really have a solidified spot in the playoffs. Realistically speaking, the way things are, it's top 8. There's 16 teams. That's the way things are going to go. But again, we fall back to the same line of, what do you do if you're YFP? What is your response? Because you could go out here and decide, hey, we're going to try to ban out the Hog and take that out entirely. Well, then Lucana just comes back in, and now you deal with that situation once again. But if you don't, maybe they keep in Dirt. They try to make it work. You don't know, so YFP has to ban accordingly, and it might not even be a ban towards the tank category, they could decide to go after Snow and maybe get rid of the Sojourn. They've been popping off throughout the entirety of the series on that character, so it wouldn't be a bad pick by any stretch of the imagination.
Here's the problem if they ban out Hog. It is very much a reactionary ban.
Yeah.
You probably would expect Putter to be coming back in, especially as we head over to Runasapi anyway. But, I mean, you could see Sigma, and that still leaves Dirt there, because Dirt, I think, played an excellent round on Sigma there. Like I said, yeah, Dirt's known as the Hog guy, but he has a bag, and a bag that not a lot of people necessarily talk a lot about here. That Sigma play last round was definitely showing that, hey, yeah, he's known for one tank, but that doesn't mean he can't play any others here. I think getting rid of the Echo here might be the way to go, especially because that might keep someone like Putter out. Yeah, Phone and Snow have been playing excellently throughout this entire series, but getting rid of the Echo I think would be a little bit smarter. But instead, Hunter, we're getting rid of the legs. We're getting rid of Soldier 76.
I question that just slightly, because that did get towards like the very end of that timer. And to be fair, it could be intentional. It could be very much a DPS protection. They think, hey, maybe there's something we want to specifically run here that we don't want to be taken out. And you want to get rid of that fear, because to be fair, we talked about that it's kind of a double-edged sword no matter who you ban out in the tank category, because if it deters Dirt, you just put in Lucana and vice versa. So maybe in the situation, you're simply setting yourself up for a best-case scenario on what you can run instead. Also, there's a possibility maybe the timer just ran out and it's an oopsies moment, but I'm going to choose to believe the first one.
Well, Nightmare let the timer get pretty low there as well, but they definitely did make a ban here. So they could go after tank or support. Honestly, this feels like a Kiri ban. If you ask me, get rid of the Kiri here. That still allows you to play something like a Hog if Dirt wants to stay in. If that's going to be the case here, we could see some subs for both teams. It wouldn't surprise me if we do see a sub. And honestly, I think we kind of missed the fact that YFP did make a sub between map 1 and 2. It was actually Micah that came out, because I remember them playing map 1. But right now, as rosters kind of get finalized here, it's going to be really interesting to see what the second ban is. But YFP, just inconsistency has been their biggest problem here. It seems like they are just struggling into Nightmare Academy here. Nightmare Academy, we talked about a lot map 1, where everything seemed very coordinated. Everyone was playing spaced apart. No one was really bunching up. Second map, still that same kind of play. Everyone was kind of bunching up at the right moments for Nightmare Academy. Smart plays coming out for them. It seemed like the communication was there. YFP, again, still just kind of making the same mistakes. This is a map where, yeah, your backs are against the wall, but you don't want to get 3-0'd here, especially in the way that the series has been going for them so far, where it has been so one-sided, honestly.
Yeah, unnaturally so, been a one-sided. And YFP, obviously, like I said before, they have taken some marquee wins throughout the season, but this is a rough situation. And part of this is that it's weird to say this in the heyday of 2026 Overwatch, but you can still walk into bad matchups against other teams where they specialize in a certain way where you simply don't have a way of dealing with it with your normal plan A or plan B. And this is where you kind of have to adapt. You have to make something happen. And it's at a point where, again, you have a good record as it is. You're not going to really punished heavily from going to this round and saying, hey, let's see what works against them, because if both these teams make it to the playoffs, you have to worry about facing each other again, and you don't know how the meta is going to change in a month's time. You don't know it's going to go your way, or maybe even further away from you as well. So there has to be some level of adjustment, and at least in terms of who they have on the board, double checking myself this time, YFP is not making any swaps yet.
YFP is not making any swaps yet. Doesn't seem like Nightmare Academy is making any swaps. I just want to touch on one thing that you kind of mentioned here. You said 8-9 wins is probably going to be your safe spot into making it into the playoffs. Well, you have to remember, YFP already has 7 here. I don't think 8-9 wins is going to be a safe thing for playoffs. I think, honestly, it's going to be 10 and 11, especially where we look at the standings, where a lot of teams are kind of hovering around that 2, 3, 4 loss records right now. It's going to be really, really close as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. Remember, I talked about it briefly before the series started. These are both these teams' 10th games of the season. After this, they're into their final 5. So it's very, very important. Hunter, looks like I was right again. Kiri going to be our ban coming in here for our third and potentially final map of the series, as we're put on hold right now, it seems.
That is the situation. We are on hold. I think I'm 100% correct with what I assumed as the second point for that Soldier being banned. I think that was just the timer legitimately running out and then not making a decision in time. Which, I mean, to be fair, Depending, you could be Nightmare Academy and take advantage of the mistake, or you allow them to actually make the pick they were going to, which, again, that's what I think is going on. I'm not a mind reader. I do not know for a fact what is happening. No one's talking in chat right now, so, again, we can only really work off of assumptions in the situation, which, by the way, I love Academy and YFP. This may be the most quiet I've seen two teams in a match ever. Like, honestly, it's uncanny.
Yes, especially with some of the. Yeah, well, there's one, but especially with these two players, these two teams having a lot of players who, in the past, me and you have definitely seen at least banter with other teams here. But we can say this: we do have some subs coming in here. Nightmare Academy. Dirt going to be coming out after a really good map. Lucana coming back in here. And for YFP, it's Mike coming back in for Jeremy this time around here. So some subs coming in here right now. I thought that's what we kind of would see Lucana come back in since the tank position was not necessarily touched. So that does leave a lot of good opportunities there for Lucana. Mike coming back in, I think, is the right move for them as well. I think a little bit better hit scan presence, especially on a map like Runasabi, where hit scans can really take over with the long sight lines on this map. It could be something that really helps YFP get going here.
Yeah, I 100% think it could in this situation. We'll find out, obviously, momentarily what this scenario is going to be as we're trying to get everybody back into the lobby. We are still on hold as of this moment. Nothing has really been said on either side, well, at least from YFP's side of the equation. We're just missing, I think, one person now, and yeah, it's just Mari who has to get in here, and we can get things started. But again, kind of adding on to what we kind of have been going about, and we'll keep looping around to this because it is the most important thing of this match, what's left in it, is the adjustments that YFP is going to have to make in this scenario. And there are a lot of choices you can make at the end of the day, but Dex, it's a scenario where they have to go out and they simply have to try something. And maybe it's not going to stick. Maybe it doesn't go the way you want it to, but you still have to go out there. You have to make it happen. And if not, that's life at the end of the day. It's a rough situation, but you have to try.
Yeah, you have to try. And like you said, sometimes it's not going to work. I mean, there's always the old phrase of just throwing mud at the wall, hoping that it sticks, hoping that it eventually breaks it down. I mean, it's going to be very tough here for YFP to do something here. But you talk about Mari being the last one to get into the lobby here. Mari has honestly been the best player, I think, on YFP here tonight. They have been very consistent, always on top. It seems like a lot of their stats have been up there as well. Only 4 deaths last map, tied with the lowest amount in the lobby with Snoll. I mean, Mari has been doing really good, especially against what has been kind of rough for them so far. But right now, we're having some talk in the chat, it looks like. But coming out of the gate here, Nightmare Academy showing us a Jungle Queen comp with Lao on the wow, why did I almost say Echo? On the Juno here. And the other side, you still have a Juno, but you have Mari on the Ramatra. I like this a little bit better for them, but look, Hunter, me and you talked about a little bit earlier with Bastion getting a little bit more play, and especially paired up with that Mei. I like it a lot here. YFP trying to go heavy into the brawl composition. I like it. They need to try to get a little bit more closer in their face, because I think YFP has not necessarily been able to capitalize a lot on their fights here. They're now going to try to get Nightmare into spots where they have to make these brash, rough, really quick decisions here, especially with the ice balls coming out here. Could work out great for them.
Yeah, Mario for the little, but Regime is going to strike first blood here with Unread going down. Now you lose out on a lot of that speed situation. Hey, this is a good fight as any if you're trying to get things started. Snow eventually going to be burnt down, and yeah, you're going to wipe everybody away. And I mean, that's honestly potentially YFP's best fight of the series so far, just a clean wipe.
Oh, easily the best fight of the series. I mean, they've only been able to win a couple team fights the entirety of it. The fact they got a clean wipe right there is great. And the fact that you're also not getting any swaps from Nightmare Academy. You know what to expect here. You know that what's going to be coming at you, especially as Nightmare Academy is coming in here maybe a little bit split up at the moment.
Yeah, Lao is going to take care of Salmon as well. And Lao's going to get rid of 2 here, so it's going to be able to help shut this down pretty quickly. As, yeah, eventually Mari and Michael pull down, and that'll take care of business. Remember, last time we were on this map with YFP, we saw this same composition with Mike on the Bastion, and it absolutely rolled their opponent over. Oh, well.
Well, we saw the Bastion there for a fight and a half, essentially. Now they're going over to the Soj here, and I like it a little bit better because the Bastion, a big hitbox, especially as someone like what we saw there, Lao find 3 picks, should not necessarily have that happen in any fight. Really, Juno, yeah, could be strong, but Micah going over to this Soj, I think, is a little bit better. Disrupting shots going to be able to kind of section off Nightmare Academy here, allow Mari to play a little bit more aggressively into it as well.
Yeah, 100%. Now you're hoping to get some level of opening here, and yeah, here comes that all-out aggression separation. Phone gets rid of Noxus and Micah at once. Phone gets rid of 3 to finish out that fight. Lead taken, and for all intents and purposes, first cap coming through as well.
I mean, we talk about seeing these kind of flip-flop maps here, where flip-flop push maps a lot. Normally, though, I feel like it's not this map. We kind of see one team get very strong and the other team come right back and have an even stronger push, but Nightmare Academy doing that right here. And Phone, I mean, if you're YFP, you have to know that Phone's waiting in the corner.
Yeah, Phone wants to get a little something. Nothing quite yet, is able to get out alive, but still. Looking at 70 meters plus. Noxious, though, big pick over onto Phone. This is where that aggression is going to come and form. Everybody going to drop down. Regime lets it loose with that rally. Lucana's health goes from 600 to 0 just like that. Micah, big finish. Noxious back at it as well. But everybody is going to get the close respawns. And with Lucana having a big engagement coming up here, this could be a tough fight.
Could be a very tough fight here for them, but right now, I mean, if you're YFP, you're able to kind of reset the spawns here. That's all you really need to do here. I think you might just want to kind of back up, take a fight. You're letting Nightmare Academy take a fight here, but already the Orbital Ray coming out, that's going to respond with the Annihilation.
Oh, Lucana isn't able to get out of that freeze in time. So now Mari's going to keep running down bodies, clear out, coming through. Snow can just drop down on the point, doesn't get rid of anybody though. It's just Phone hanging around the corner. And first cap going to come through, but the lead can still be contested.
The lead can be contested here. Phone in the backline, already looking to stall it out here. We've seen him do it a lot throughout the night, and they're being sneaky. I don't think anyone on on YFP knows. Phone is, yeah, the regime knows, but Lucana does have this Rampage ready to go here. Micah has overclock, but I don't necessarily know if that's going to be enough to slow down a Rampage.
Oh, and Mari might be cooked here. Beat's going to come through. Micah rope situation, Amari's just stuck in a corner. I don't think there's any coming back from this situation right here. Amari does get rid of one, though. It's getting a little bit of care, but Lucana can just double down and invest whenever they want to. Lau gets rid of another 6 meters short, not going to be able to get the lead, but still everybody also going to get the close spawns. And with Mari catching on to Regime's respawn, I think that very quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a great play. That's a great thing that Mara was able to catch that respawn wave there for YFP. But you look at the other side, Lucana still has their Rampage. Snow has their own overclock here in Phone, not that far away from Tectonic Shock, which granted, last time they used it, it didn't really lead to much other than a YFP fight win. But now with some other ultimates at play here, it could find a little bit more value. Ice Wall coming out to a little bit late to catch out Lucana, but there's a Rampage finding too. Yeah,
and Regime barely getting able to survive, and with a little help from that rally, of course. But still, you need to be able to find the finish right here. Lucana is buried right now. Is getting a ton of healing from Lau. Unread trying to get in there as well. Regime super low. Doesn't get finished off somehow, some way. And it looks like eventually keeping the team alive is going to be their undoing. Lucana going to be taken care of. Cart headed the other way. As it looks like for the time being, no close spawn was taken. So everyone going to come back from neutrals.
Yeah, but this is going to be very awkward here now for YFP because they only have 3 members of their team while the other 2 are kind of coming back from spawn. They're going to have to fall back here, not kind of. They're going to have to full fall back here and regroup because this will just be a very quick fight here if they decide to stay up here, which, I mean, you're seeing the members of YFP come back very, very slowly here, but Nightmare Academy in a much better spot, especially with that Orbital Ray about to be online.
Yeah, feels like they're trying to bait this freeze out somehow, but Noxious is being very careful when to use it. He's going to throw it down over on the point. Lucana going to be cut out easily, and that's all you need right there. Snow trying to get the pull up right now. Eventually going to go with the all-out investment, but is going to get booped away, going to get destroyed with Micah helping them charge forward with 2 more. They are going to get this bot moving, but Phone with an excellent stall to delay this.
Yeah, you need to win a fight there quickly if you're a YFP because you need to get this lead. 3 minutes, 45 seconds left to go. You should be able to just barely take the lead, I think. But Nightmare Academy, they actually are pressing the gas here a little bit. They do not want to give the lead just yet, especially when you look at the other side. Annihilation, Orbital Ray ready for YFP. They're going to take the lead here. Nightmare Academy just going to give it over to them. And I think that's a smart play. I think they're really going to try to bait out some ultimates from them here as the Orbital Ray out from Nightmare.
Yeah, Mari's been given so much to try to keep these going. Card at 82 meters, Phone with a little bit more stall. Trying to get back to the other side of the wall. Unfortunately, gets away. And YFP slowly but surely figuring this out. Snow goes for the all-out aggression, trying to get at least one, but Micah again cleans up shop. And that's a full wipe once again, and the lead is being taken in mass.
But right now, this is the problem. YFP only has a rally here, which granted, if they can find an early pick, might be all they need here to really get into a comfortable spot where even if they lose the fight, the cart will be right there towards the end. Nightmare Academy, though, look at what they're about to come up here too. Rampage, Tectonic Shock, Beat, Overclock. I mean, they're in a really good spot right now as Regime uses the rally to get everything started.
Yep, Unread right around the corner, gonna let that loose. They're gonna catch on to Mari. Unread in a rough situation. Beat now gonna be available with Mari down though. Who knows what you can do? Unread though has been taken out. So the bleeding is going to start stemming a little bit here. Lau gets rid of Micah. That's pretty much going to stop anything. Regime is still hanging around, but it's only going to be temporary. Not going to get out alive. Salmon running for the hills, but still, you are so happy right now if you're YFP.
Oh, you're absolutely ecstatic right now. You have this 47-meter lead here, but you look at the ultimate economy for both these teams. You have a lot on the side of Nightmare Academy. However, you're coming up to a couple on the side of YFP. You have the Blizzard from Noxious, which has been able to win them fights the 2 times they've used it so far this round. They need to have the same kind of value from this time as Snow pops off with the Overclock.
Yeah, and again, for the 3rd time, Lucana is pretty much soloed with the freeze. Takes care of business, and now Noxious is going to help clean up once again. Bone trying to clutch it back around, but it's not going to do anything. Noxious does go down, which honestly is massive for that to be the case, but the forward spawn still exists right here, so you can keep pushing this thing forward, and Mari doesn't have to stay in. You can just back up right now and get the whole team back immediately.
They might not be able to. Salmon, though. Salmon. Oh, I thought Salmon finding that one pick that might be able to keep it alive. What?
That is an investment and a half right there.
Oh, no.
Okay, so what this does do is it gets Mari back, but ooh.
Yeah, that's one where you might definitely want to back, especially with Lau and Lucana about to have that combo they've used in the past here. Micah, though, a player that definitely needs to step up, coming back into this match here, has definitely been doing that here for YFP in a map they desperately need.
Desperately. And now with 45 seconds left, they are set up in such great territory right now. They still have 3 of these ultimates available. Honestly, you might be fine getting a bunch of stuff out of them right here, and right now, you're going to see the back-to-back investment right there. Salmon gets taken care of, but it's Lucana who has to go all in to try to take this one away, to try to start bringing this one back around. Good carnage, but no cigars so far. Eventually going to be burnt down, and with 20 seconds left on the board here, Micah did end up dying as Lau is just hanging around in the back line.
Nightmare Academy is getting a miracle at this point here to get back into this map and to win it here. You look at their economy, nothing on their side, but Lau. Oh, they have been scary good on this Juno throughout the night. The ice wall finally hits. It's Snow gonna be able to fall right there, but 3 seconds left to go. Nightmare Academy back in control of the bot, but Hunter, a 47-meter difference is what divides them, or what keeps them away from a 3-0 sweep.
Yeah, freeze around the corner for Noxious. This freeze could be the difference between life and death in this scenario. Again, Lucana's just going to get soloed. Nobody can jump onto the cart either. They don't have a beat or anything. They have nothing to sustain through this, so eventually, Noxious is going to let this rip, and yeah, it's just going to be thrown in. Lucana going to be separated from the rest of the squad. No one going to be able to do anything in this scenario. Phone throws out. He's going to be able to live through it somehow, some way, and helping with a little bit of that stall. But still, no one is able to retouch. YFP take this one away, make it a 2-1 game, keeping themselves alive.
Yeah, YFP, I mean, like we said, coming into this map, they needed to try something a little bit different, and I think they found it. They need to play this style, and it worked out for them. You had Micah come in here, play the Bastion to start off, but I think they really showed a lot on the Soj. Snow didn't play the game, but still, I think Micah, like I said, a player that desperately needed to kind of step up here for YFP, or hell, YFP just needed someone to step up. Mari, I think, had been doing a really good job throughout this entire series. Really good job again on that map there. Micah, though, definitely helped out a lot there for YFP as they keep this series alive, making it 2-1.
Yeah, exactly what you need in that situation right there. I think it's wonderful what they have pulled off in that one, because it looks drastically different from what we had previously seen in that scenario. Now, I will say, we are, as I'll show you all in a moment, we are technically still on hold right now, so we can't see anything as of this moment. We do not know if there are bans going through. We do not know if there are map picks going through. You know as much as we know. Obviously, we'll find out momentarily what the scenario is, but at this moment, Dex, we're kind of forced to wait and see.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is we also can't see stats from that last map because I really wanted to look at the two Soges there, Snow and Micah. I thought they did a really good job, both of them. But like I said, Micah definitely stepped up there. I think everyone on YFP stepped up as well. You started to see a little bit more come out from them there, which was like something they desperately needed. Because like I said, the biggest problem we had with YFP so far this entire series was consistency. They finally were able to find it there.
No, they 100% did. It was a really good display on their part. And I'm excited to see where the adjustment's going to come from here. Because now it's Academy that has to readjust to do their own thing. But the thing that they have that they haven't had since map 1 is they have the first ban in this scenario. So if they wanted to go out here and simply just ban away something like just akin to like a Ramatra for that matter, you have the ability to kind of free pick that Roadhog, and also you can kind of determine what you want to do based upon the other ban as well, because remember, bans happen first. You can change your lineups after the fact, and I think that's what you might see in the situation, but again, all we can do is wait and see. The hold is still there. I might have to message somebody, because I am a little curious, because as of right now, I mean, we can't even see the stats of the last round for that matter. That's the situation we're in.
Yeah, kind of concerning here at this point, especially because the entire last map was played while the game was technically on hold. So we're going to try to figure something out here quickly. But I mean, for Nightmare Academy, that was a little bit of a rough map for them. I mean, they've been they've been really consistent throughout this entire series. It seemed like a lot of their team play in the first two maps was very well communicated. You kind of see them, everyone had an idea of what they were supposed to do in every fight. It seemed like they finally got hit in the face, punch in the face, technically. Actually, no, punch in the face, both metaphorically and literally, with the Ramatra coming out there from YFP. So if you're Nightmare Academy, you're going to probably try to bring us to a map that's not necessarily something where you can run Brawl, or at least run it good. You want to bring us back to a dive map, because those first two maps where they played dive and they played poke, it worked out very, very well for them here. So I'm trying to remember, like, what can we go? We could go to Escort, right? Normally that means Dorado would be up on the plate.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dorado would be very interesting in a scenario like this. I don't know who I like more into that situation, honestly. Because we haven't gotten to see a ton of dive ever since that Ilios, but it worked out really good for Academy the first time when you had Lucana in, and at least from what we see right now, we are seeing kind of swaps happening as things are. I'm gonna see if maybe I'm gonna refresh and maybe there's just a visual bug potentially. No, it's not. But Lucana is back in as of right now. I'm liking the way that I think they're gonna fall back into the dive style. But again, we're still on hold technically. We don't see anything. We can make assumptions, but we can see them making changes to the lineup.
Well, Lucana was in last map.
What was it not? Oh yeah, you are right. Yeah. Hunter is kind of. I think Hunter's losing a sauce right now because he's trying to figure out the situation. So let's just use that little excuse here really quick.
Yeah, but I mean, right now we're getting word from other series going on. We do know Nightmare Pro did beat Iliad Artemis 3-0. Good victory for them there. Still staying undefeated. And right now, especially, well, Hunter, let's actually talk about the elephant in the room with the OWCS news coming out today. Those top two teams, it feels a little bit more important for them to keep on consistently winning. Yeah, there's still a playoffs to go through, but you want to try to have your best opportunity, put your best foot forward going into those there, and both those teams staying undefeated has been really good. Nightmare Pro, I mean, we kind of knew coming into the season, especially with that roster, could be really, really good, and right now they're showing it. Nightmare Academy, while yes, they have struggled here lately, looking like they're finally getting everything back on track, but still, YFP has a lot to say in this series. Hopefully we're not already in map 4, because it feels like one where YFP finally got the wheels under them here and could honestly start that reverse sweep they already have. Could they continue it?
Yeah, I can confirm, probably confirm something right now, as I did manage to add phone a minute ago. Phone is very much still in menu, so it looks like we are not in game at this stage right now. So I guess we'll find out momentarily what the issue is, because remember, this hold happened at the very beginning of that map. So now we're in a bit of a rough scenario where there's not a whole lot that can be done until we figure out news as to why things are paused the way they are. But I will say the way things are trending right now, I mean, there's nothing else to do but call it a rough situation. It's rough. We just don't know anything, which I like to know things, and I think Dex likes to know things as well, but that is just not the case right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would really love to look at the stats for that last map, try to figure out, at least looking at the numbers where everything kind of was a little bit different. I think tank play was a big thing. Like I said, Mari's been doing really good throughout this series, even up against both Lucana and Dirt. Lucana, I felt like that was maybe their worst performance we've seen them in the couple times we've seen Nightmare Academy this season. Maybe the worst performance we saw them on an individual map there. They just never seemed to really get anything going. I did like the Jungle Queen pick, but outside of the Rampage, which the majority of the time it seemed like they were really only solely focusing on just hitting Mari, they never really found the value there. The Ice Wall as well, like I said, coming out there, I think really helped out YFP and did give Nightmare Academy some problems. But I mean, going into this next map, you have your opportunity here to ban something out. Do you ban out the Maid no matter what you pick here? Because if you're YFP, I feel like you just stick with the Ramatra. However, your Nightmare Academy, you could just say, yeah, we're banning out the Ramatra here. We want to end this series here and now.
Yeah, it's a very real reality, and I'm excited to see if that is the case. Cause I think Mari's Ramatra was extremely good. Mari, every time we have seen them, I think they've been particularly strongest on characters like the Sigma, like the Ramatra, and I think it really shows in that last match right there. I imagine that obviously, depending on where you want to go right here, I think you could take this back to a dive map because I think Lucana looked great earlier. Back on Ilios, I think it kind of falls in your wheelhouse as well, where you can allow somebody like Snow to start getting more value again, and I think really importantly, stopping someone like Noxus from getting value, because that May was obnoxious to have to deal with. Lucana was getting solo ulted every single time that freeze came up, and for Lucana, there's nothing you can do because guess what? There's no Kiri to cleanse you out of it.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to see. It seems like this is the only game that's having a problem right now. On Faceit, every other game, the other three that are going on right now are still currently in map. This is the only one that's in a little bit of a weird pause, it seems.
Yeah, it's a little strange what's happening right now because we've definitely had server issues in the past. We've had lobby issues in the past. Players or teams not having things done at the right time. It happens, but have not sat on hold for this long. So, probably the right decision is to let things go for a few minutes. Take a minute as we're going to kind of talk this through and figure things out. I accidentally hit the fade that's 10,000 milliseconds, so that's really fun. I can't stop that one, guys. But what I will say is that we're just going to quickly cut to like a 5-minute break really quick. We'll come back after that. We'll see if we have this thing figured out because at the moment, I do not know what's going on, and it's a lot easier if we just take the moment to figure out internally as best we can and come back with some news. So we'll be back in a few minutes here, hopefully with a continuation of this match. All right, everybody, welcome back. So, as it turns out, the solution has been made. So, let's clarify one thing that I did bring up in the chat earlier when we went on break. This was a issue with the lobby. So, unfortunately, that's not something that can be fixed on player side immediately. Admins are involved trying to fix it as it is, but the problem right now is it's not fixed. So, what is happening now, Dex, for the rest of the series, or at least until things are potentially fixed for a 5th map, is we are going to be doing things in a custom lobby. So the players have put this together. They have invited us. So everything from here is just going to be done on player side. And if things get fixed on the Faceit side before the game is over, awesome. If not, this is just how it's going to be. We've had this happen a couple times before. It's not exactly a new situation, but it'll take a quick minute to set up as we're making sure all the teams are good and ready.
Yeah, well, like you said, me and you have seen this before. We necessarily haven't seen it here in North America before. Me and you've seen this a lot in South America, where in some cases this is the only way that teams could really finish games. But right now, this seemed like the best option for these teams. I do like it. Looks like we're getting bans in right now. We do know we're going to be heading to Dorado, and looks like Nightmare Academy going to be banning out the hazard here. Again, I kind of thought we would go back to Dorado. Winston finds a lot of good value here. We saw Nightmare play Winston on Nightmare Academy, play that Winston back on Ilios, find almost all the value in the world there. YFP, their ban's going to be very important now. They cannot go after a tank. Do they go after a DPS line here? I think that's the way to go here again. And honestly, if you're going to see someone maybe like Putter come back in here, I don't know if that's going to be the case. Echo might be the way to go here for them, but we'll figure out that second ban here when eventually YFP does type it into chat. Yes, it's going to be Echo. Oh my God, Hunter, I'm on a heater tonight.
It's on here. You need to go buy a ladder ticket, man. There's still time. There's still time. Oh, all right. That's awesome, though. All right, Echo.
Am I 4 for 4?
I think you might be. We'll take a look at the VOD later. We have proof, but you've been on heaters tonight, so that's amazing. And hey, most of y'all stuck around for this. We'd love to see it. But yeah, everything is looking good so far. We're gonna get in here momentarily, just for you guys to see. Currently, YFP has put themselves down as good guys. Meanwhile, Nightmare Academy are the bad guys. Oh my God, I love it.
I mean, your name is Nightmare, so.
I mean, good point. All right, but hey,
yeah,
ours are going through. All right, I love it. I love it. I will say, I talked earlier about these teams being very quiet before, but ever since everything went down, people have gotten very talkative back in that lobby and in this one too. But hey, we're finally ready to get back to Overwatch, what y'all came here for, instead of watching us talk our butts off. But to be fair, you're doing that anyway. But anyway, Dex, we're getting into this map, 4th map of the series, Dorado. Still a match point for Nightmare Academy, hoping to clean things up here as they'll be on the attack to get things started.
Yeah, and like I said, with Phone coming out, Putter coming in, that Echo ban makes a lot more sense now. Because when we saw Putter play those first 2 maps, they primarily played Echo. And man, did they play a really, really good Echo here. Micah staying in here for YFP, the way to go here. But you have to remember, going back to that first map of of Ilios, they kind of struggled on the hit scan. Now there's not necessarily going to be a flyer on the other side. You have a little bit less pressure to have to get rid of them, but still you have to be able to hit the shots consistently. Putter, though, remember, Tracer was banned out map 1. Tracer, I think this is the first time we're really seeing Tracer this series, which is a big surprise. But Diva gonna be the way to go here. No Monkey this time, Hunter. Sorry about that, but we're getting the Mecha instead.
My heart's broken a little bit, but I can accept this at the end of the day. We do what we must for the wins right here. But hey, Lucana, you still have my heart. Let that be known here and now, as we're going to get things started away. Snow going to peek over on the Widowmaker to find something. Does get a nice little headshot and is actually going to go out and try to find something more here.
Yeah, right now, I mean, Snow, if they find one headshot, it opens up so much here for Nightmare Academy. Allows them to play a little bit more aggressive with Lucana, now make them swap over to the Winston. Again, just want to get up that high ground. Mari's going to have to kind of always be on that kind of dive watch here, because you do not want to leave too open, but that's the opener you're looking for.
Oh, it was going to happen eventually, and that it did. And now they're going to start rolling things down. It's going to start ending with a shot like that, and everyone's just got to back up, take the reset. As during that whole exchange, nobody really built up these ults a whole lot.
And now, and again, it's because of the composition that Nightmare is playing, they're really trying to hope that Snow finds that opening pick, because it forces YFP back, like you see here, already falling back, waiting for that one moment to come in. If Snow can find another pick here early on in the engagement, it opens up so much for Nightmare Academy yet again.
100% it does, but still, someone has to eventually fall over. Unread, Lau, both incredibly low, will be able to care for each other, at least momentarily. Lucano, though, big pick, though. Eventually, Mari going to be able to find the retrieval, but still, Mari needs to stay in mech. He is going to get rid of Unread and gets out of mech for that. And you do get the finish right there, but with Mari still out of mech, I don't know how worth it this will be.
I mean, you see Mari just trying to pop shot their way back into the mech here. This is Nightmare Academy's moment here where you have to play fast, knowing that that D.Va's not in the mech. Finding that pick very early on might just guarantee you. There it is! Might just be the first point done and dusted here, Hunter.
Yeah, it might just be. Maybe Regime gets something out online. Noxious is around the corner from a pulse bomb. It's thrown down. Salmon is hit. That should have things done and dusted. Regime somehow gets rid of 2 on the way out, but it's just not going to matter. Noxious can't get there in time. Snow gets another hit, by the way. Snow has been going wild immediately on this Widowmaker.
Again, Widow is just such that make or break pick with a lot of teams, because if you land that headshot, man, does it lead to so much for your team. Finding those picks is what makes good Widow players very, 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 very wanted in a kind of composition like this right now. But you look at the ultimates coming on here. I mean, Nightmare Academy did have to use a decent number of ultimates just to get that first point. Yeah, they're going to have 2, 3 ready to go here, but you're going to have to be ready for YFP's response.
Yeah, 100%. See what happens here, though. Noxious already down. They're going to push them back pretty effectively, all things considered. But still, Mari is supposed to get knocked out of the mech. If that mech does come out, though, this fight is 100% done and dusted. But Snow is not the best of places. Will eventually be taken out as finally Fight Wind comes through here. Still a lot of time on the clock for Academy, though.
And I think right now, if you're Snow, this is the moment where you make that swap. Looks like they're going to be sticking with the Widow here, though. But you look at the ultimates here. You're going to have your Primal Rage and both your support ultimates ready to go here for Nightmare Academy. However, the only thing that YFP used so far is that Kitsune Rush. So YFP actually in a really good spot here, especially with the stairs being added here. This has become a really good choke point, I feel like, for a lot of defending teams.
Yeah, it's been a great choke point, 100%. Now, Lucano wants to kind of take that aggression. Michael lets go of that bomb. That bomb, sent flying, by the way, is going to help with the Snow situation. Mari's going to get a nice finish right there. But Unread and Putter not happy to let this one go to rest, but with Lana going down, unfortunately, it is not a question anymore, as Lau will be able to get out alive, as this time being burnt away very nicely by YFP.
Yeah, time being burnt away. However, YFP did invest 3 ultimates into that fight, and like you said, the Bob kind of just went running off into the hills, into the sunset, never to really be seen again. So that's an ultimate that you would kind of want back. But talk about regime so far for YFP. I think they've been definitely stepping up this map, much like how Michael was stepping up last map for them. YFP, they got that one map went under their belt. They look like a completely different team. That confidence is there for them.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb does miss for Noxious, though, so it's a bit of a rough situation. Mari almost demeched as well. You have to be so careful over here, but I think Salmon, with this Kitsune Rush ready, you could see the aggression, but Lau does have the response to immediately back, so if it happens, I think you'll see that immediate double Kitsune like usual.
Kitsune Rush out there. Not going to be really able to find much there, honestly, for YFP. And I mean, that's been a pretty consistent thing throughout this entire series. Nightmare Academy has done a good job just really not caring about the Kitsune Rush coming out here from YFP, as they kind of just blow through them there. And now they have their own Pulse Bomb ready to go into this engagement, but does YFP even try to get a touch here? You have Noxious trying to buy some time, but will it be enough?
And you get one touch, but a second one is not in the cards. They're going to back up, set up for the next point instead. 3 minutes on the clock for Nightmare Academy. It's looking good for them so far, but there's a lot of fight back from YFP right here. You just have to be really careful. Again, Mari is such a confident figure on this team, needs to stay in that mech.
Desperately needs to. And right now, you're looking over at Regime, you're looking over at Salmon, just try to keep them in that mech as well as they can here. Not that far away from a bomb, but you want them to be able to have that bomb before they get this aggressively. Pulse Bomb out there, not going to be able to find anyone, but Lucana immediately down to that high ground.
Yeah, Micah Bay taking out first and foremost, though, opens up the door beautifully to keep this thing trucking along. Mari's in a rough situation. Bomb is probably going to have to be expended here in the middle of a bubble, so nobody with the fear of going down. Remake is activated as well, but Lucana, I mean, he's about to be living a daydream here if they are forced into a corner with his Primal Rage. Regime on the outside is going to get rid of Lau, but it's not going to be enough as, again, they'll be finished off one by one. Last second stall coming through here with 2 minutes on the clock, though. It's got to be perfection here for YFP, and that's a good way to start right there.
It's a great way to start, because look at what this does in Nightmare Academy. It kind of puts them in a little bit of a spot where they have to decide, are they going to keep this contest going, or are they just going to give up the space here? You do see Putter try to just hang back around inside the stairwell, but they're going to eventually have to regroup with their team here. But that one pick, I think, just changed the entire trajectory of this map here. I think if you do not find Lucana there, it allows them to still play very aggressively, but now they had to wait, allowing YFP that time to come back into it, and Bob coming back out this time in a much better spot.
Yeah, Noxious gets a nice little cold bomb over onto Snow. Rough scenario up top is Putter going to hit the recall. It's going to be able to get out alive on top of that as well. But now used quite a bit, and Lucana thinks this is a winnable fight. Regime is separated from the rest of the team, is getting juggled around, but Lucana can't get the finish. Salmon is there to help everything out, and eventually Lucana just got to get out of dodge as they still have 4 tools around the corner.
Still have 4 good ultimates, but I mean, if you allow YFP to be able to do some of their own ultimates here, it could be something that you do not necessarily want to have happen. Salmon, again, I've talked about a lot throughout this map and throughout the series of Consumer Rushes for YFP have kind of been, well, just duds. They haven't been able to find a lot of value off them, but Bob coming out here for Nightmare Academy, and oh my goodness, that's in a great spot.
Yeah, everybody's low though. Salmon barely alive right now. Cinder Rush only getting rid of so much. Mari so close. Regime is going to have this rally around the corner. It's going to be big and sustained, but Unread has one as well. This is likely going to be that final fight territory. Everything thrown in. Unread going to go in. Double stun. Unread gets taken care of immediately. Regime, though, eventually going to be run down. They're falling one after another, but still, with Salmon falling down, things get really rough. Micah finds an excellent pick over onto Lau, though. So now chase down's coming through. Putter last one remaining, and now it is Unread having to race to maybe get a touch.
Unread should be able to touch it on Lucio unless they're getting taken out here very early on, but nice boobs coming out there from YFP. They deny Nightmare Academy here the full completion of the map, giving themselves a win condition. And like I said, you have to go back to that one pick where Lucana got taken out pretty late in a fight where it seemed like Nightmare Academy had been able to win it. I said that changed the entire trajectory of this map here. YFP can now set that in motion by getting back to this point in the map and finishing it, forcing a map 5. Because Hunter, if that happens, you really have to consider that YFP might have all the momentum on their side of the field. But this is what you want to see from YFP. That consistency is back. It seemed like Nightmare Academy, they had momentum at times, but were very, very quick to give it up.
Yeah, that has kind of been the trouble with it, is they would get it, but you would have somebody like Micah or Noxious or even Salmon who would just catch somebody off guard, and that stops all the momentum. It happened earlier when it feels like you had to fight one if you're Nightmare Academy, but Lucana gets caught out, and momentum kind of stops from there, because without your dive tank, you literally can't do anything. That's your situation. But Lucana back over on that Winston, Snow back over on the Ashe as well. Micah is currently maybe representing the Widow at least for one shot. I mean, it worked out really good for Nightmare Academy. Maybe it'll work good for Micah here as well.
Well, you can kind of see where they're kind of toying right now. It looks like they're going to make this... I don't know, they're going to stick with it. Maybe one pop shot, and then all they're going to do is just go right back in, because I think the Ashe has kind of been their go-to here. But we talked about Snow playing that Widow last round, was able to find them that first pick, kind of getting the ball rolling. But you see the one pop shot, going to go back in, swap over to the Ashe, come right back out. I think Mari on this Diva on the offensive side can be a little bit better than what they were on the defensive side. Going to be able to play a little bit more aggressively as well, but a DMAC could really affect a lot here, especially going up against Lucana on that Winston.
Yep, 100%. And the worry here is being able to even really get in here in the first place. You shouldn't have anything that's going to be big for engagement if you're YFP. Lucana eventually needs to be taken care of. Mari is hard separated, by the way. He's going to be lucky to stay in mech. He's going to be able to right now as Putter ends up going down. Of all people, Noxious wins out on a big 1v1. And now, the rest of Nightmare Academy going to start backing up a little bit, need to stay grouped together, and for the time being, they're keeping each other alive well.
Mari staying in mech there was a big thing. Putter also being able to find one or falling there also helps YFP out here a lot. But right now, if you're YFP, you need to start pushing the pressure here a little bit more. Lucana very low. You need to be able to find them here. But again, you see Putter frontline here on the Tracer. If you can get rid of just Putter, again, it opens up so much for you because it allows the support line here to play very free.
Yeah, but Salmon going down is not an excellent way to get that going. And now here's the unfortunate part. They're going to get cleared away. Mari's going to be taken out of the mech, and there's no reason to kill Mari here. No reason in the world.
Mari is going to try to force the reason here a little bit. But honestly, I mean, if Mari just... Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, they almost get back into mech there, but Lucana going to be able to take care of them. Now this is a very awkward spot here for YFP because this is now a very, very tough choke point to get through for them, especially with Bob coming up online here and a lot of the ultimates coming up online here for Nightmare Academy. Micah's still kind of lagging behind on their Bob, so again, that could be something that really opens up and builds a lot of space for them. Without that there, they're going to have to wait just patiently here for it.
Yeah, but we saw Noxious earlier with the pulse bomb that changed the fight entirely. Hoping for the same thing here, but I mean, Unread, Lau, Putter, all of them are going to have solutions for this pulse bomb if it hits, and Noxious nearly gets their head taken off right there trying to engage. I think Incineroar's just probably going to have to be used here by Salmon to really fully get them into this fight here as Putter hits the pulse, doesn't catch on to anybody. Incineroar's being thrown out by both sides. Salmon down first again, though. Pulse bomb thrown out. Excellent sticks. Null ends up going down. Rally expended, and now bomb can be thrown here from Mari. Unfortunately, not going to find anybody. So unfortunately, this is going to be another dud of a fight, and it comes at the expense of 3 ultimates.
Here's the thing, though. It's a dud of a fight, but you still have 2 ultimates in your back pocket. Micah going to be taken out there. You still have some time, so you don't have to rush. Snoll has a Bob, which is essentially a 6th man for Nightmare Academy. Micah, though, is going to have the exact same thing. However, Regime and that rally, that's going to have to be the difference maker here for YFP now, especially in a fight that is pivotal not only for the map, but for the series here. They're going to need to find someone to be clutch for them right here, right now.
Yeah, there's a minute left, but this feels like this really is going to be the fight with the ultimates that are here. Lucana going to get burnt away severely. He's going to have to run for the hills. Bob thrown into the back line. He's going to fall into a really awkward spot back there. I think Bob just went to the stratosphere, by the way. That is a rough spot, man. And now Lucana's going to go all in on this. Salmon has been taken care of. Rally has to be expended. Unfortunately, this is just kind of falling apart for YFP. Noxious doesn't even get out alive. Regime just has to go in and be taken care of. That Bob just unfortunately slides as Mari calls for a pause in a very integral moment.
Very integral moment. 23 seconds left to go. You just used all your ultimates here. Yeah, you're going to be making swaps. You already kind of see it. Micah goes over to the Cassidy. Now, last-ditch effort. I like it a little bit here, but again, you're going to need to find a pick very, very early on. Putter not that far away from a pulse bomb for Nightmare Academy. This is your worst case scenario here right now for YFP. I mean, you looked like you were finally able to get something going there on the defensive round, able to stop Nightmare Academy. You're kind of looking at the same thing that happened on King's Row, where they were able to just barely get across the finish line there on King's Row, where they barely just held Nightmare Academy. And I think both me and you were given a little bit of confidence from that, especially with how they played last map on Runasapi, where it seemed like once they got control of it, they never really let it go. They haven't really found that yet here. They got that opening pick on the Putter, but that's basically been the only thing they've been able to find so far this round.
Yeah, that's really been it, and it's obviously a really unfortunate situation, and now you are around the corner from, if this is an extended fight, yeah, Putter's going to have the pulse bomb, but if Unread or Lau manage to get these support ultimates, this thing should be done. It should be over, and the American Academy takes the win. It's going to come down to the back of somebody like Micah or Noxious to find that opening pick. That I think that really is what it's going to take. And that's what happened earlier. Noxious got that opening pick onto Putter in the 1v1 and ended up going their way. That's how things went before, and that's how you're hoping things can go in this situation right here for them. However, there's no guarantee. You are in a big uphill battle, both metaphorically and literally, with Nightmare Academy just sitting on the other side of that over or underpass. And to be fair, they don't have to do anything, quite honestly, in that situation.
Yeah, no, they don't have to do anything. It's going to be YFP that has to commit. I mean, Nightmare Academy, you see them pushing up a little bit as we're getting the R, so we'll go back in here very quickly. But as Nightmare Academy is pushing up, all it takes is YFP getting one pick to force Nightmare Academy back here. Again, the only ultimate that we expect to see this fight is that pulse bomb from Putter. 23 seconds left to go here, Hunter. YFP, series on the line here.
Yep, and there is a full sale swap coming through here. Bastion, Junker Queen, Lucio. You gotta do what you gotta do when your game's on the line.
Gonna get the touch here, but there's a lot more left to go. Micah needs to be able to melt someone down here. Pulse Bomb, though, doesn't find anyone. YFP, that's a good start here for them.
Yep, and now cleanses out momentarily as well. You need to wait for your right moment. You have to go on this backline, try to get something out. You're trying to create some level of separation. That bubble needs to be taken care of immediately, and that it 100% does. And Noxious, the closest one currently to anything right now, tries to go for that. Consider Rush, though, comes out. Lucana gets burnt down, though. That is worst case scenario. Micah, though, going to fall over. Regime around the corner as well. This pulse bomb needs to be massive coming through here. It hits the wall. It's no cigar. Noxious last one remaining. And Nightmare Academy gonna close it out 3-1. The bad guys win as YFP, big effort, unfortunately, just not enough at the end of the day.
Not enough at the end of the day is the right way to put it. I mean, we could go back to how they played in the first two maps where we were talking about their consistency, how it was very much not there. Runasapi, though, it looked like they found something that really worked them, but Nightmare Academy with that map pick, bringing us to Dorado, a map where you normally see a lot of dive get played, I like that. I mean, you could definitely see that YFP struggled against it, and also just playing the dive. They had their opportunities there on the defensive side to really slow down Nightmare, which they did, but on the offensive side, you could definitely tell that Nightmare was a little bit more comfortable to play that composition right there against that diva. Or again, I thought Mari did a good job, but you need a little bit more there. We were talking about throughout the night where it seemed like you never were really able to get that kind of help either from your DPS line. I honestly thought the YFP support line did everything they really could there. I thought they actually did a really good job. I think I even highlighted it was Regime at one point there that on their defensive round being able to really step up in times playing that brig. But Nightmare Academy, a very key win for them here now, brings them up to 8-3 on the season, I'm pretty sure. And especially going into your last couple games of the season now, you're in my bad, 7-3 on the season. Going into your last 5 games now, you have to feel pretty confident that if you can just split them 3-2, you're gonna be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's looking really good for them, and it's looking good for both teams. Now they share that 7-3 record, and both of them kind of hoping to go on something of a tear here with what's left of their schedule. I mean, Nightmare Academy, with what they have left, they still have to face some teams like Casa Esports, Hive Mind. They do still have some tougher battles down the line with Kitsugi, Nightmare, EDM, who's had their own resurgence as well. It's not going to be the easiest situations, but I think it's only just going to take that 1 or 2 more wins to put them in that spot, and then it just comes down to how high can we get that seeding. And to be fair, YFP is in very much a similar camp. They still have to face both of the Ilios teams, but they still have Dreamland, Extinction, Emote down mid again. It's the same scenario where you have a couple of games you should take, but the rest could genuinely be very difficult.
Yeah, and especially with how this North American region is looking right now, especially in Masters tier. Like I said, you have those top 2 undefeated teams, but then there's no 1-loss teams. You have a couple 2-loss, a decent amount of 3-loss, and a decent amount of 4-loss. You could see one team lose one match, go from being in that top 5 to being outside the playoffs. That's how competitive this North American Masters tier is right now. So YFP, this loss here, doesn't necessarily hurt them that much, but you have to try to get your wheels on them because it really seems like Nightmare Academy was able to expose some flaws in YFP here tonight where they struggle into some dive compositions and they struggle playing the dive. The one map they looked the best on, they just played a very much a hard brawl composition, while Nightmare Academy, it looks like they kind of struggle into that a little bit, even though they had their good opportunities there on Runasapi and YFP. That was their one map they can really write home about. Nightmare, though, this was a great series here for them. Both teams in that Nightmare org winning here tonight in really good fashion, keeping that momentum up, especially going towards playoffs. But right now, I mean, Nightmare Academy looked like the better team throughout the series here tonight, get the 3-1 victory.
Yep, 100%. Well-deserved in the situation. Obviously, look forward to seeing how the rest of their season goes as we get down to that top 8 needing to be locked in. And hey, both are in some pretty good places right now. Obviously, it hasn't updated yet because the thing is still bugged. Actually, I think it has updated. Yeah, it has updated. They are 4th and 5th respectively right now.
No, it updated.
Yeah, there it is. 7-3 on both sides. Love to see it. We still have the undefeated Dreamland and Nightmare, which Nightmare, Dreamland, both winning games. Dreamland now 10-0, and now the 8-0 for Nightmare. There's still one game currently going on. Shigami Extinction, that is a Map 5 banger. It is coming down to the limit right now over on Blizzard World, so hey, excited for that game. In fact, if it's still going on, maybe we'll send y'all over to watch it. But Dex with
Volskong's has it, right?
yeah, Bolskong's got it right now, so that's coming down to the wire right now. But should be a phenomenal game. It's finishing up well. I'm watching on the second monitor. That's what I'm doing right now. But we're gonna send y'all over to watch that here momentarily. So thank you all for coming out here, watching this game, watching all these amazing games, because we obviously appreciate y'all being out here, making this very lively situation, because y'all came in mass tonight and y'all made it a very fun night. So hope yourself English English should be my first language. I should be able to speak it well. Sometimes I do not, but I hope y'all have a fantastic evening. We'll see you next week for some more Face of League action. Take care.